Today, we're going to talk about a change that's so big, so fundamental, it's being compared to the discovery of fire. Seriously, we're looking at the future of work, the explosion of AI, and some totally new ways of organizing ourselves that might just make the whole 9-to-5 thing, well, a thing of the past. So let's get into it. For basically all of human history, our identity, our ability to survive, our whole place in the world, it's all been tied to one simple thing, our work. You work, you provide, you eat. Simple. But that core rule of human life is being completely rewritten as we speak. We are right on the edge of a new era, and it's coming a lot faster than you might think. At the very heart of this huge shift is an idea called the Great Decoupling. And what that means is we're reaching the point where what a society produces is no longer connected to the effort of its people. Just picture it for a second. A world where factories and software and services, they all just run themselves, creating wealth without anyone needing to lift a finger. This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream, it's the economic reality we're speeding towards. And this decoupling, it forces us to ask a really big question, maybe one of the biggest we've ever faced. It's a question our ancestors couldn't have even imagined. What happens when work becomes optional? When you don't have to get a job to survive? What do we actually do with our time, with our lives? Now, what's fascinating is that two incredibly smart people have looked at all this and come to the exact same conclusion. The age of mandatory work is ending, but, and this is a big but, their visions for what that future actually looks like could not be more different. It's really a tale of two futures, a potential utopia or a dystopia. On one hand, you've got Elon Musk. He sees a world of abundance with something he calls a universal high income, where we're all free to create and explore. But on the other hand, Nobel laureate Giorgio Parisi warns of a future filled with time without purpose, where being forced into idleness creates this deep, empty feeling. So is it a blank canvas for human potential, or is it a golden cage of boredom? Let's dig into Musk's vision for a second. He imagines a world where robots and AI do everything. I mean everything, from making things to delivering them. And because of that, the cost of, well, everything just plummets. In this world, that ancient curse of having to toil for a living is finally lifted by technology. We'd all be free to pursue our real passions, supported by this incredible automated economy. But then you have Parisi's much more cautious take. He points out something really crucial. There's a huge difference between choosing to have free time and being forced into it. For so many of us, our job isn't just about the money, right? It's our community. It's where we meet people, solve problems together, and feel like we're part of something. If you take that away suddenly, we don't all just become artists and thinkers overnight. We risk losing our sense of purpose and the connections that hold us together. Okay, but this isn't just a philosophical debate about some far-off future. The first seeds of this new world are already here. They're growing in these new ways of organizing people that completely challenge what we think of as a company. And that brings us to something called the DAO. So what on earth is a DAO? Well, try to imagine a company with no CEO, no boss, because it runs on code. It's kind of like a digital co-op, where all the rules are written into software that lives on the blockchain, so it's totally transparent. And instead of a top-down management structure, the members, who usually own tokens that act like shares, all vote on every big decision. It's a pretty wild experiment in how we can work together. And working in a DAO is nothing like a normal job. First off, the structure is completely flat. There's no corporate ladder to climb. Your role is this weird, fluid mix of being an owner, a volunteer, and a freelancer all at once. And get this, hiring isn't done by some HR manager. Decisions are made by a vote of the whole community. Because of that, your reputation, what people think of you in that community, becomes the single most important asset you have. This completely unique setup means the whole idea of a career path gets turned on its head. It's not about climbing that ladder anymore. It's more like growing a garden. You have to plant seeds, build relationships, and earn your place over time. The journey is just totally different. You don't start by sending in a resume. You start by just joining the community, maybe by buying a token. Then you start contributing, but usually for free at first. You jump into discussions, you vote on proposals, you help out. This is how you build that reputation we talked about. It's only after you become a known and trusted member that you can start to pick up paid tasks. And over time, that can grow into steady, well-paid work. The whole model is flipped. You prove your value first, and then the money follows. So whether our future is run by these DAOs or by some super smart AI, how do we actually get ready for this post-work world? We can't just sit around and wait to see what happens. We need a game plan, both for companies and for ourselves. All right, here's a 5-step framework to think about. 1. Shift from head count to heart count. Focus on the jobs that need a real human touch: empathy, complex negotiation, building trust. 2. Check your skills for AI complementarity. The goal is to learn how to work with AI, to enhance it, not to compete against it. 3. Build up the human premium. Think about it. In a world full of AI-generated stuff, things made with real human skill and passion will become a true luxury. 4. Start experimenting with time security. Try things like a 4-day work week where the focus is on what you get done, not how many hours you're at a desk. And finally, 5. Look into non-market fields, things like taking care of the elderly or community building where that human connection is the actual product. When you put all this together, it leads to what might be the biggest shift of all. It forces us to rethink who we are when we're no longer defined by our job titles. You see, for hundreds of years, our value as people has been measured by our productivity, by what we can make or do. We are now walking into an age where our value might just be our humanity, our creativity, our empathy, our ability to connect with each other. We are shifting from being human doings back to being human beings. The future isn't written yet. We're standing at a fork in the road, and the two paths are crystal clear. If we do nothing, if we're passive, we could end up in a nightmare of boredom and massive inequality. But if we're proactive, if we start building these new systems and redefining what we value right now, we could trigger a new renaissance of art, of discovery, and of deeper human relationships. And that brings us to the one final crucial question that every single one of us is going to have to answer. It's a question our parents and grandparents never really had to think about, but it's one that will define the entire next chapter of our story. Who are we when we have nowhere to clock in?